Okay, great. And I think we'll do that one more time. So same thing, name, major, year, and then when you're talking about what you did, make sure you mention that it's an internship and where the internship was located.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Sounds good.
it's fine. Yeah.
My name is Paige Ehalt. I'm a mechanical engineering senior, and I did the internship exchange to India.
I think we might have to do that one again.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
It was the camera, not.
I think it was just the audio.
Oh, okay.
So just try it again.
Yeah, so run it through one more time. And like I said, just make sure it's mention it's an internship, mention the JK Cement Manufacturing Company.
My name is Paige Ehalt. I'm a senior in mechanical engineering, and I did the internship exchange program to India, where I was an intern at JK Lakshmi Cement.
Tell us a little bit about the internship itself. What did you do at the internship site? Who did you work with at the site? Any kind of details about what the experience itself was like?
Okay. For the internship, I went. So at. I'm going to start that again.
Sure. You can start again as many times
Yeah.
as you want.
The internship at JK Lakshmi Cement, I worked one-on-one with about 3 different engineers, and they brought us around to each of the components of the cement manufacturing process, and they, instead of learning the theory in the books, like what we do in class, we kind of got a hands-on experience about how the machines actually work. So it's kind of a supplemental learning from what we learn in the classroom.
Great, that's perfect. How do you think the internship at the cement manufacturing company, but then the overall experience as well, is going to help you in your remaining studies at St. Cloud State? And you can take a minute to think.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the same as what I said before. It kind of supplements what we learn in classes. We kind of learn the theory behind everything. We learn gears and shafts individually, but we don't really learn how everything runs all together. So I think this helps because it just makes it make more sense because it's more hands-on, and it's just easier to figure out rather than everything just kind of being pictures and stuff like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Do you think, I mean, I know in my own education and then work, a lot of the information that I learned in classes set sort of the foundation for what I'd wind up doing later on, but
Yeah.
it didn't actually
Apply.
teach me how to be, you know, like in your case, an engineer. So do you think that this experience helped you to kind of see that next step of, all right, well, this is what it's like to be an engineering student, but this is actually what it's like to be an engineer?
Absolutely. It gives you a real world experience rather than as a student. You actually get to see how things are done in the industry. Plus, you get that cultural experience of being in a different country.
Once you graduate from SCSU, what parts of the experience do you think you'll bring with you when you get that first engineering job?
I think the biggest part I'll take from this is the cultural experience, because in engineering there's so many different races, so many different cultures, and I just think it kind of opened my mind to anyone that I could possibly be working with once I get a job.
And was there anything in terms of the engineering itself in India that you noticed was different than the way that we do things here in the U.S.?
I noticed that I feel like their education system is a lot different. They learn basically our first 2 years in engineering while they're still in high school. So they kind of they had a lot more experience. They knew a lot more, and they honestly expected us to know more than we did. And so they kind of had to reteach us things that we should already know. It's one of the biggest things I noticed. So
Were there, when you talk about that, are you talking about the engineers at the company itself, or were there actual Indian students at the internship?
that was the
experience as well?
engineers
Okay.
themselves. They would ask us questions. They're like, "You should know this. We learned this in high school." So, and we're just like, "Yeah, we're not quite sure."
Yeah, I guess their system, they probably put people on tracks a lot earlier than we did.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
What do you think, and I mean, you've already kind of had a little bit of experience with this, but what do you think about this experience will be attractive to future employers as you start to apply for jobs, start to apply for other opportunities?
Actually, with my interview with Xcel Energy, I had two people on the phone, and one of them was just like, "I can't believe you did this. I just never would have been able to do it. It's way out of my comfort zone." I think it kind of shows that you're willing to go that extra step for experience and everything. I just think it shows quite a bit to employers just about yourself as a whole. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sort of demonstrating the drive and the
Yeah,
passion that you have for
exactly.
the field.
He was very surprised.
That makes a lot of sense. In terms of the experience overall, traveling halfway around the world and living and working in a completely different culture than you've ever been inside before, what do you think you enjoyed the most about that part of the experience?
What I enjoyed the most.
Yeah.
About the entire experience, or just like the work experience?
It could be either one, actually.
'Cause I actually really enjoyed like the tourist stuff.
Yeah, and that's fine too. If you want
Okay.
either one, really, whatever aspect of the program really stood out to you the most.
Okay, so my favorite part of the experience would be the cultural immersion. I really enjoyed going to places like the Taj Mahal, places I never thought I would have gone to ever in my life.
What was the Taj Mahal like? First, like, how would you explain it to somebody who's never been there before? That's probably really hard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Taj Mahal was basically this huge garden and fountains, and it was actually split off. There was two other tombs to the right and left of the Taj Mahal, and then you go inside and there's two more tombs inside, and you can't take pictures because it's just a holy place, and it was just all marble. It's huge. You just can't imagine how anyone could have built it. And coming from an engineering background, it's even more amazing to see that things were done that far back.
What was that? What was the scale of it like? Because it's when you look at it in pictures, it's really difficult to get a sense of that, like how big the site actually is. Like, is there something in the U.S. that you could compare it to in terms of the size?
I honestly don't know. It's just weird because even the tour guide was saying, like, you get closer and closer, and it seems to stay the same size, and then all of a sudden it's just there. It's crazy. It's like kind of an optical illusion. And actually, that's how they built it. It's meant to be an optical illusion. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting. What did you like best about the areas that you were living in? So both Jaipur and then when you moved over to the guest house at the manufacturing facility.
Okay. what I liked best about where we were staying was they were very um, calm, actually. When you think of India, you think it's all crazy and loud, but we were in very quiet areas and everything was gated, so you felt very secure, which really helped because at first I was really nervous about all the people. I thought I wasn't going to be very safe, but it was extremely safe because everything was gated, and the cement manufacturing plant is actually its own little community. You can't go into the community unless you live there or work there. So I really liked how quiet it was. I wasn't expecting that.
It seemed too like we talked to Pratt yesterday about it, and it seemed that the folks at the manufacturing facility really kind of embody that idea of community. Like he was mentioning that you guys got invited over people's houses for
Oh,
dinner a
yeah.
few times and that kind of thing.
Everyone was extremely friendly, and they wanted that you to come over to their house and cook for you and everything. There's a huge um, hospitality there. Everyone is super friendly, always willing to help out if you're struggling with something, even if it's just getting around the city. And people, the drivers would stop and just be like, "How do I get here?" And people would just stop what they're doing and tell you. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it seems like the people who were part of your experience didn't just want to make sure that you got a good educational experience, but they really seemed to actually like want to make you a part of their lives for the time that you were there.
Oh, absolutely. They wanted us to experience everything. It was exhausting at some points because they wanted us to do so much because they're like, "Oh, you gotta see this, you gotta try this, you gotta eat this." And it did get exhausting, but it was awesome because you can tell that they just were really passionate about their culture and everything.
That is cool.
Hmm.
What did you learn about Indian culture and culture in the area that you were in India that kind of surprised you, or you didn't realize about India before you went?
That's a good question. I'm gonna have to think about that one. Can you say that again?
Sure.
Surprise.
So what aspect of the culture, as you were going through all this cultural immersion, surprised you, where you were like, "Oh, I'm sure you had some expectations of what Indian culture was like before you went in, just based on the little bit of exposure that we get here, and what kind of like was outside of those expectations."
I wasn't expecting people to be so friendly. I thought it was going to be kind of scary and on my own type thing, but everyone was just so friendly, and they just wanted to talk to me because they haven't seen like a white person before. They just had so many questions, and they were just so fascinated, and I really liked that. I liked how friendly people were. I loved the hospitality. I definitely wasn't expecting to go to the engineers' houses and have dinner and all that. So
In terms of the work that you did at the cement manufacturing facility, what do you think was the most rewarding aspect of that?
the most rewarding aspect would be the hands-on and the one-on-one treatment we got. We every about 3 days we switched engineers, and for those 3 days we worked one-on-one with an engineer. They stopped what they were doing throughout their day and brought us to certain machinery, and even while it was shut down, they would open it up and we could look inside, see all the components. I really liked that hands-on treatment, and they really wanted us to learn what they did on a day-to-day basis, and they were really passionate about that. So I really liked that part. I think that was the most rewarding experience.
And what do you think was most challenging about the experience?
Most challenging would be being a female in mechanical engineering. I don't think they expected as much out of me as they did Pratt, and that was a little bit different than what I was expecting, but it kind of makes sense considering the culture.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that you encounter some of that even here in the
Oh, yeah.
engineering
Oh, yeah.
program, but it's probably at even a bigger level over
Oh, yeah.
there.
I wasn't expecting that as much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had to be driven. I was in a building that didn't have a female bathroom. Except, well, it did, but like apparently they locked it because the workers would come in with like all the cement dust and everything and get it all dirty, so they like kept it locked. So I had to be driven to a different building to go to the bathroom.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a little awkward.
Yeah, it is, because just
Yeah.
anytime I have to go to the bathroom, like I need a driver. They
Right.
had to call a driver for me.
It's like being back in like elementary school or something where you have to ask for a pass every time you go to the bathroom.
Yeah, it was a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. That would be a challenge.
Mhm.
In terms of the travel experience itself, was there anything that was challenging about that, and do you think you learned anything from just that experience of having to go halfway around the world and change flights and negotiate all of these places that you had never been before in your life?
Personally, I didn't think of it as much of a challenge. I have never been outside of the United States. I've really only flown a couple times before this, and I still didn't really have any issue with navigating around the airports or getting to my next flight or anything. We had plenty of time between flights, and you kind of have to follow the line of going through customs and all that stuff. There's really no room for error, and they have boards saying this is where that next flight is. So I didn't have much of an issue, even though I have no past experience with, or much past experience with flying. I didn't have much issues, and having one other person does help because it kind of reassures you that you're going the right way and stuff. So no, I didn't really have much challenges. I thought it was pretty simple. And then our last flight, we got picked up by a JKLU faculty member.
So, you said you haven't even flown much in your life. So, going into the travel process, did you have any anxiety around that? And did it surprise you that it was as smooth as it was?
It did surprise me that it was smooth. I talked to one of my neighbors, actually. She travels all around the world, and I asked her about customs and what I should and shouldn't bring and all that stuff. And she kind of assured me, she's like, it's a lot easier than you think, and there's really nothing to worry about. You just have to go in the right line, and that's pretty much it. So she kind of gave me some reassurance, and she was right. It really wasn't that bad. So.
How do you think that this experience impacted you on a personal level? Putting aside all of the kind of education and learning new stuff about engineering, do you think it changed you as a person at all?
I do think the experience changed me as a person. I'm much more open-minded about different cultures because I think from where we're from, we are a little close-minded, and we're not quite as open for other cultures, especially with terrorist attacks and things like that. We're kind of scared of other cultures, I kind of say, but I wasn't necessarily scared of other cultures. I just didn't have much experience with them. I don't communicate with very many other cultures in my classes, so this kind of helped me see those other cultures and learn about them and just feel more comfortable being around other people that aren't necessarily white and stuff like that. I really liked that. I do think it changed me, and also the living environments. It made me very happy to be home, just because it's not bad. It's just a lot different than what you're used to, and it is an adjustment. So you become grateful for what you have. So that definitely changed me as well.
In what ways was the living environment different?
Um, just less modern, and that's about it. It just, I don't know how to explain it.
Well, that's okay.
Just well, the architecture, even just like how everything is set up different, and it's less modern and stuff like that.
Do you think going abroad is something that you'd like to do again now that you've done this experience?
I would like to go abroad sometime from this experience. I would like to travel for my job in the future, and I feel like this kind of reassured me that I would enjoy it. So, I forgot my train of thought.
I think that that's good. And then the last question is just if a student comes to you now and says, "I heard about this program and I'm interested in doing it," what would you tell them is probably the one or two reasons why they should do something like this?
I actually have already had students come up to me asking about the program, saying that they're kind of interested, and I do tell them that it is a great experience. I tell them to definitely do it if they have the time and they can afford it. And I tell them that the best experience, it's really good for your resume. I got an internship right away, and it helps you open up to other cultures. It helps you get more hands-on in the mechanical engineering major.
Okay, great. Is there anything else about the program that you think you want to say that we haven't covered so far?
Just overall, it's a great experience. I would highly recommend it to other mechanical engineering majors.
I think we got everything that we need. You were way more relaxed on camera.